There is a kind of harmony that doesn't come from balance sheets or relationship rules. It comes from learning how to dance with life, with love, with purpose, with uncertainty. When business becomes an expression of devotion and relationship becomes places of awakening, something sacred begins to emerge. Today, we are exploring what it means to live and lead from that to place. Welcome to Sacred Harmony, a space where inner alignment means lived experiences and where healing, purpose, and presence weave together. I am your host, Nazish, and today we are joined by Louis Brantmeyer, relationship philosopher, best-selling author, entrepreneur, and a creator of Make Love Easy framework, whose work bridges conscious entrepreneurship, emotional maturity, and deeply connecting relating. In this conversation, we'll explore how conscious business and conscious relationship aren't separate paths at all, but part of the same sacred dance, inviting more harmony into how we love, lead, and live. Welcome to the show, Lewis.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
Likewise. So, Lewis, before we talk about the framework of philosophy, I'm just curious, what did sacred harmony mean to you personally before you before life shaped you, and how was that meaning changing through your own journey?
Yeah, great question. So, sacred harmony for a long time is the place and posture of poise and presence that we aspire to. I mean, there's nowhere other than the present in which we experience and enjoy whatever it is that we're after: peace, connection, creativity. And so when I was younger, um, I'd say I found this through the contemplation of art and creations of the imagination, and then eventually through elegance and philosophy. And as I developed into adulthood, what I found was there is an experience of groundedness, peace, love, and joy that we can attain inside of ourselves that once we have, w- we perceive everything from within it. We're not seeking to get anything from outside of us so much. As one of my mentors says, it's okay to have things so long as things don't have you. And, you know, we can have things once we realize we don't have to have anything to be okay. And that for me is like conscious harmony, is that awareness of a harmonious coexistence with whatever the moment brings. Remembering to remain present to the present of the present is another way of phrasing or framing that.
I agree, and absolutely, that is such a beautiful way to frame it. And talking about your own journey, it is absolutely beautiful. And I noticed that many people believe entrepreneurship demands hardness, hustle, and emotional detachment, while intimacy asks for softness and surrender. What feels misunderstood about trying to live consciously in both worlds at the same time?
Yeah, so it's about where you start from, energetically, emotionally, contextually. And a lot of people are starting from having to get to somewhere specific in order to be okay, not realizing that even their own desires, like their dreams, as we tell people, follow your dreams, are actually contaminated or inflected by subconscious programming, trauma, uh, challenges in perceiving the world and themselves that they think on some level perhaps they'll solve through doing something or achieving something. And it's just not so. Like, we can't solve an internal problem with an external solution. But what we can do is solve the internal problem first and then go outside as an expression of freedom and play. rather than having to make something go our way so that we can be okay. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make a lot of sense. And, you know, it's like, so instead of business and love being opposing forces, you are pointing to how they reveal the same inner patterns, just in different costumes. Like their reframing already shifts how harmony is possible.
Exactly.
Absolutely beautiful. So, when entrepreneurs or leaders struggle in a relationship or vice versa, what deeper emotional or spiritual patterns are usually at play beneath the surface?
So most people have some flavor or another, or a few flavors of the following: this experience of being not good enough, not worthy, not capable, insignificant, not perfect, uh, and until we make what is unconscious conscious, the outer world will rule our lives and we will call it fate. That was Carl Jung. So, what becomes available to us is to perceive what's going on with us. So, we're no longer subject to it, we're no longer driven by it. And whatever we're aware of, we actually aren't. And what I mean by that is we are the stream of consciousness, the awareness that perceives the thoughts and feelings. And we may have consistent patterns of thinking and feeling, but that's not all we are. And there's a lot more available if we simply choose to detach from those thoughts and feelings and observe them in a kind of mindfulness and equanimity sort of way. And then from there, what becomes available is simply choosing differently when it comes to the stimulus of our behavior and, excuse me, the response of our behavior and the stimulus of our sensation or our experience. At which point we have the freedom to create differently in relationship, in business, and in anywhere else that we want to focus on.
Wonderful. That is such a beautiful approach towards it. And what I can understand is that both conscious business and conscious relating ask us to mature emotionally, to take responsibility of our inner world rather than outsourcing safety or worth to outcomes or partners.
Correct. Yeah,
Yes, and it is something so important for everyone to understand, and I feel like this is going to resonate with so many of our listeners tonight.
absolutely.
So how does the inner word or the lack of it tend to show up day to day, like in someone handles with money, conflict, desire, or even success itself?
All of the above. So, one model, and it's a great model, it's not the only model or the perfect model for how things go in life, but one model is that we manifest our reality with our subconscious beliefs. And manifest doesn't mean to create so much as to make obvious what is already there within us. So we go where we live emotionally and we use our environment to get us there. We use the people in our environment to get us there. So we're subconsciously choreographing opportunities for feeding a confirmation bias in the direction of our beliefs about who we are and how things will go. And um, as we're doing that, like no matter what shows up in our world, we then use it to go somewhere, and we can even twist the exact same experience in several of different directions in order to feed that belief that we might perceive inside of ourselves until, as I said, we make what is unconscious conscious. At which point the belief can be reconfigured, the story can be changed, and so every level of results people are getting financially or the way that they're being treated relationally, these are reflections of what's going on inside of them. Now, it's not 100% of the time everything. Like people do have their own trauma and they may simply be acting dysfunctionally or from dysregulation or reactivity. And that's, something to take account of. But I like to say, let's start by cleaning up our side of the street first. And let's get responsible for what we can see and how we are experiencing ourselves internally, so that when we approach business, when we approach other people, we're coming from a clean, clear space where we're not misperceiving them. Uh, I think it was um, Wayne Dyer. He said, "We do not see things as they are, we see things as we are." And that's true until we take the responsibility that I'm pointing to. And yeah, I mean, anything and everything is a reflection of inner work that has been done or hasn't been done. And I'll say this last piece on this point. The two directions we can go in the creation of relationship. One is we can move towards our purpose and our highest individual, independent thriving, or we can take whatever vibration and beliefs and current level of energy we have and create a relationship. Now, the meaning the first option is to like raise our energy, clean up our beliefs, create something epic for ourselves. In the second instance, if we create a relationship, our partners are our mirrors or our chefs. So whatever we have not addressed inside of us will appear outside of us, coming back at us through our partners, and or will subconsciously choreograph and sort of demand that they treat us the way that we expect, even if that's not consciously the way that we desire. Same with clients in business, same with employees, partners in business. And so there are chefs, they're serving up the meals that we are familiar and comfortable with until we do the work to get responsible for our part in, asking them, again, with subconscious signals and expectations and um, really intricate behavioral modifications that we're all doing. We train other people in how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. So if I treat myself like crap, well, it makes perfect sense that someone else might respond in kind or meet me at the level of self-care or self-respect that I have been allowing or honoring myself from in the past. Does that make sense?
It does, and it is absolutely beautifully put, and it has such a grounded perspective to it. And it sounds like harmony isn't about avoiding tension, but about learning how to move on with it, like letting friction become feedback rather than failure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So, if someone wants to start dancing differently, both in their business and their relationship, where does that practice really begin with?
Yeah, great question too. It's with a willingness to take responsibility for all of the results, actions, and beliefs that one has. So our thoughts lead to our feelings lead to our actions lead to our results. And sometimes in this distinction, it's also our thoughts lead to like our stories, or our beliefs, or interpretations. And so if we can distinguish the thoughts, see where we're at and what's actually going on with those, then we can take responsibility for them. Then we can say, okay, where did this thought come from? What happened to me such that I made up the story that I am now experiencing that gets triggered whenever this belief gets triggered or this experience happens, right? And then from there, there's things like paradigm breakthrough therapy or theta healing or um, superconscious recodes, release resistance processes that you can do in order to let go of what's been there for you and step into what you would choose instead, what you would love to experience, who you'd prefer to be, how you'd prefer to see reality. And it's an intriguing question that people seldom ask. It's like, w- well, I mean, if I can just change my beliefs to give me beliefs that make me feel better, then like ultimately, what are my ground? What is the grounding in reality for these beliefs? And it is true. We most of the beliefs we hold about ourselves are just things that we've made up. And then the question becomes, well, do I want to just make up beliefs that cause me pain and suffering and are like a life that's unfulfilled, or do I want to choose beliefs that support me in feeling good and being happy, being productive, being effective? I generally recommend the latter for people because obviously, we'd prefer uh, diff- that type of fruit, as they say. Your beliefs are the seeds, and the results are the fruit.
Absolutely. And that is such a beautiful way to put it. I must say that, it feels like there is something deeply sacred in that, choosing presence over performance and the truth over control. It feels like the kind of devotion that quietly transforms everything it touches.
It does. It does. There's a deep commitment I hold to noticing whenever I'm experiencing something other than peace, love, and joy. And when I notice, I go and I sit down in my breakthrough chair because I know from experience, long standing, that I don't have to be stuck in there. I don't have to uh, taste that flavor. And so, we're not here to feel happy. We're here to feel fully. And once we feel fully, then we get to feel happier than we've ever felt because we're not holding back, hiding out, suppressing, repressing, avoiding, carrying around incompletions from the past. And so I know that with my tools and my willingness to be responsible for what's there and to feel into and to feel through whatever's there fully, that what becomes available to me is a restoration of that experience of peace, love, and joy to myself, for myself. Um, Now, not everybody's willing to do that. A lot of people, they touch what they have been feeling internally and then they run from it. They do things to uh, push it down. I mean, they start to touch it and then they run away. So the opportunity is to sit with it, to simply be with it. And feelings buried alive never die. So you can absolutely rely on the fact that you and I will experience it again if we do not choose to experience it fully now. And Shinzen Young talks about this in The Science of Enlightenment. He says, incomplete experience there's is what most people are carrying around. Like we can have a full and complete experience of a sensation, or we can resist it and suffering is pain multiplied by resistance. So we can either choose to continue to cause ourselves our own suffering by resisting what's going on in our body, in our life, and then carry around debris that holds us down and makes our life heavy and makes it difficult to have that unbearable lightness of being, to quote the title of the book and then the movie, um, that we're meant to, that is our birthright. But we're not taught this, right? We're not taught emotional intelligence, like how to know what we're feeling, emotional fitness, how to handle it, how to be with it, how to allow it up, how to allow it through. And we're not taught emotional alchemy. So that sacred harmony and the perception and the visceral, palpable experience of that in life, it's not available to most people until or unless they do the work. And so that's why I recommend doing the work, because you're always going to be invited by reality, by your life, to move through what's been there for you. The question is, are you kicking and screaming as it comes up and pushing back and fighting against it? Or are you receiving, allowing it, skilling up so that tools are available to you to delve into what's there for you and to move it through easily and effortlessly and powerfully and to recover quickly, like on command, on demand, with intention, with grace and ease.
I agree. And tell me something that even with this awareness, we all stumble. Like often old patterns resurfaces, fears sneak back in. So what helps someone return to harmony without turning setbacks into self-judgment?
Yeah. So noticing and forgiving when self judgment comes up. Um, so like, oh, oops, I notice I just judged myself.
Mm.
I mean, it's really as much oops and I forgive you. And that comes from one of my teachers. Like if I notice that I'm in judgment on you or on me, it's more resistance. It's actually eh, judgment is insane and silly. Like, it's insane because what we resist persists, and judgment is a form of resistance. So whatever we're judging, we're drinking the poison, hoping that they get killed energetically, emotionally, right? Or we're drinking the poison, hoping that they suffer from our choice to judge, or that the situation will change when now we're resisting it even more through holding on to it. So that also applies for us. Our patterns internally, what we resist about ourselves persists. And so the best way to change behaviorally is to simply let it be there. I think the Tao Te Ching says if you want to be straight, allow yourself to be crooked. If you want to allow yourself to be complete, or excuse me, if you want to be complete, allow yourself to be incomplete. So that's the beginning. The beginning is this mindfulness, this willingness to notice what's there and not resist it, not judge it, not fight it, and then move forward. Like what uh, often when I'm coaching people, they'll say, "Oh, but I get this thought in my head that I'm not good enough, or I have this experience that keeps happening." And they say, "Well, what do I do with this?" And I say, "Well, you listen to it, and then you say, 'Thank you for sharing, and I'm going this direction instead.'" Like, "Thank you for sharing, but that's not who I'm committed to being right now." You know?
Absolutely, I agree. And this is such a grounded opinion. And and the way you have advised it to our listeners, it is going to help them, to all those who are struggling, who's trying to find that balance, that harmony between themselves. It is going to help them. The practice isn't about never feeling out of rhythm. It is about remembering how to come back home to ourselves again and again.
Exactly.
Yes. So, dear listeners, for anyone listening right now who feels torn between ambition and intimacy, ask yourself what part of you is not asking, not to be fixed, but to be met with more honesty and compassion. Secret harmony emerges when business, love, and self responsibility stop competing and start moving together as one living practice. So, Louis, for our listeners who who resonated so well with this conversation and want to connect with you, what is the best place for them to explore your work?
For sure. Just louisbrantmeyer.com, which is my personal website, LOUISBRANTMEYER, all lowercase, no spaces.com. And I have profiles on TikTok and Facebook where I put out regular recurring content, and people can direct message me there for different types of value. In fact, everybody who's here, if they want a poignant expression of a real life journey into emotional fitness, alchemy and intelligence, and uh, like something that will help them to skill up in these directions, I'm happy to gift them an audiobook copy of the bestseller in sacred sex and new age self-help called A Creationship's Inception, conscious relating through polyamory, entrepreneurship, and a cult-ish. You always get them with the subtitles, I find, at least in my experience. So that was my most recent book, and I'm happy to gift it to people.
Absolutely. I will make sure to include all these details into the show notes so that many, many people can reach out to you. Thank you so much for spending time with us on Sacred Harmony today. It was an amazing conversation with you. I hope you had a good time with us. And listeners, if today's conversation stirred something within you, allow it to linger like music that continues after the sound fades. So, until next time, may you move gently, love consciously, and keep dancing your way toward deeper harmony.